So today we'll be introducing debate. What is debate? And then we'll go over speaking. And yeah, so welcome to the Reason for Debate Summer Camp. And today we'll be talking about what debate is. So debate is the formal discussion of a set of topics in which there are two sides. There's the affirmative side and there's the negative side. And usually there's, in a very general debate, there's the opening statement that a speaker gives and then a rebuttal, which is basically where they will refute or defend their side. And then there'll be a closing statement which they wrap up their argument, and that is the basic premise of debate. So what is the purpose of debate? We kind of went over this earlier, but debate teaches you to prove your points and to convince your audience. And it teaches you to conduct research and really think about things critically in various fields. And the first step to winning any judge over in a debate round is, of course, your speaking. So that's what we'll be going over today. So speaking is, there's 5 essentials to giving a good speech and to really connect with the audience. The first one is you have to have eye contact, right? You can't just be looking around in the room. If you're talking to someone, you want to look them in the face and try to convince them that what you're saying directly relates to them. So you want to make sure that you're connecting through them on the most physical level possible without touching them, which is to, of course, look them in the eyes and to tell them what you're saying matters. So in a debate, you're often going to have a script in front of you, or you're going to have a speech prepared. And that can either be on your laptop, your computer, or it could be like on a paper that you printed out. And it's important that whether you're holding that paper or whether you're holding that laptop while you're reading off your speech, that you're still looking at the audience, at your judge, and occasionally at your opponent if they're asking you a question. So you want to make sure that you maintain eye contact in a debate round. And you want to know that when you're making eye contact, you don't want to be like staring into their soul. That's like really creepy, right? So you want to have this good balance of switching between looking at your paper and looking at the judge. The second most essential thing in giving a speech is posture. You don't want to be slouching, and you don't want to be like having your hands on your hips and looking really unprepared. You want to look professional while you're talking. And that often means standing up straight. You don't want to be hunching over your computer, even if you're holding your computer in your hands. So the next thing is tone and voice inflection. So what inflection means is like what I'm doing right now. So you don't want to be like, this is what I'm saying. Everything I say matters the same amount. You want to give inflection, which means you want to give volume and changes in your tone and in your voice that persuades the audience and captivates the audience in what is most essential. So not everything you say matters the same amount. And when you have important things, you want to make sure to make it stand out more by inflecting or talking louder and more emphatic on those words. So one thing that why inflection and tone and voice is so important is because when you talk in a dead voice, it sounds super not confident. You don't want to give that impression that you don't know what you're saying, or that you're not sure if what you're saying will like matter, right? You want to give off the impression that what you're saying matters and that you understand your argument well enough to present it in the most confident way possible. And also diction. You want to make sure that you have to enunciate your words clearly so that your judge understands you. And also you want to choose words that aren't too confusing to understand, and you want to make sure that what you're saying is clear and to the point so that your audience and your judge can understand you the best. Because in a debate round, you have limited time to give your argument, right? So you want to make sure that what you're saying in that limited time is the most important things possible to help your judge best understand and like vote for you at the end. All right. Is this the fourth thing? I think this is the fourth thing. So the fourth thing is speed. When you're talking, you don't want to go super fast. You don't want to be speeding through your speech. Of course, when you're reaching like policy level, this is like a joke inside the debate community, but like when you're going policy level, you're not trying to like make the judge understand you anymore, because the judge at that level have already gone through training where like you're spreading through your speech as fast as you can, and that's not the goal of this summer camp at the moment. So at this summer camp, we want to focus on you enunciating your words clearly, not like what I just did right there. And then you want to make sure that what you're saying is like clear enough. And to do that, you need to watch your speed. So you don't want to go too fast or too slow. And you want to make sure that in your speech, there are areas where you slow down and try to emphasize those areas if they're important. And you can speed up to like, if you're saying an evidence, for example, if you're we'll get into this later, but if you're, for example, if you're giving a speech and there's a part where you're quoting something and that quote isn't that important, you can speed up through that section and you don't have to enunciate those sections as clearly. And you want to pace yourself. In a debate round, you have limited time, and of course, you want to make sure that what you're saying captures the judge's attention. So some speaking tips. So there's this thing called Yerkes-Dodson law that I just learned about. So in your speech, you don't want to be too into the face of the judge. You don't want to be too happy or too excited. You want to be at that optimal performance level where you're just in the middle of being really happy and really sad, so that you convey your emotions in the best way and it gives off the strongest performance. You don't want to be speaking softly, but you also don't want to be yelling at the judge, right? So those are things you want to think about when you're speaking. And power dynamics, what that means is you have an opponent in the speech, in the debate round with you. And what power dynamics means is that you want to be the dominating force in the room. As bad as that might sound, you want to be the one that comes off as the better speaker, the better debater, and the person with more confidence. And the best way to do that is not to get too stressed and not to be too relaxed either, but to make sure that you are confident and you practice those 5 speaking skills that we went over earlier. All right, so next, so we're going to have a drill next, and this drill will be consisting of something called impossible speeches. So this is where you're going to speak as long as you can about randomly assigned topics without any filler words or excessively long pauses. Filler words means and any words that you don't need a speech is filler words. So you want to try to minimize that as much as possible. All right, so if you go to this website, I'll share it in the link in the chat later. But if you go to this link, it'll take you to this site called Random Word Generator. And you're going to say you want 100 words. And word type all, and you're going to generate random words. Oh, okay, 50. Generate random words. And these are the words that you're going to be using. So what you'll be doing with these words is you'll be, you can pick from this list of words and then you'll be talking about it for as long as possible without stopping. So for example, say we pick the word subway. I can say the subway has 2 meanings. Subway is a form of food. You can buy subways in anywhere. Okay, that was a bad example. I said but you can't say and you can eat Subway or you can go to the subway, and those are 2 very different things. Eating Subway is very delicious, but some people don't like it. And going to the subway means you can, oh, I said right. So you want to make sure that you don't say those filler words, and it can be really hard, but try to not use those filler words. Okay, so cool. I think that's the end of the slideshow. I'll stop sharing. TAs, do we have any comments or helpful tips for speaking that you might want to share?
Yeah. So in the beginning when I did debate, I did stumble a lot, and even to like now, I stumble a lot. But it's always good to, start by kind of planning out what you're gonna say a little bit before, and that way, when you do start speaking, you kind of have like a somewhat of an outline that you can kind of follow in your head, and that way, whatever you're talking about kind of runs out smoothly. So maybe try, with today, like if you have that like those series of words, then you can kind of plan everything out. Like, okay, I'm gonna say this word and then that word, and then I'm gonna say this. Have that planned out, and then kind of attack speaking.
To add on quickly to what he said, one way that I personally like to plan it out is I think in like a general draft, whatever the claim is, right? Whatever you're kind of arguing for, because debate is argumentative. Then I think three reasons is generally like a good kind of like like a reasonable amount of reasons. You think about your three reasons, think about examples, and then just add in like and then just think about your conclusion. That way you kind of have that, roadmap, kind of like if you guys have done like a 5 paragraph essay in school, it's kind of like the same format like that. That generally tends to help a lot.
Yeah.
Um, One more tip is usually I like to plan out the other opponent's rebuttal areas. So if you know their arguments or you think some plausible arguments that they may run, it makes it way easier for you to refute them during the round so you don't get too stressed and mess up on your words.
Yeah. Also, what I like to do, like in order to kind of be a little more confident and sound like a little more assertive, is to actually use hand motions when you're like describing what you're trying to say, because it oftentimes like helps a judge kind of like conceptualize something if you're making an analogy like that's supposed to apply to debate rounds. So like hand motions can be used to like convince the judge or just kind of come off a little more confidently.
Yeah. So we have a couple questions in the chat. So Mila, you said you have a question. Do you want to talk?
I already got an answer. I just had a question about the reminder, but it helped
Oh,
me
okay,
already.
cool. Asher said, how long? Okay, so we're going to just prep it like it's like as long as you can. So we'll just go as long as you can for the speech, for the drill. So don't limit it to 2 minutes, do like 15 minutes, but we probably won't go to 15 minutes, but just prepare like it will be